Well, hey there, doll. You want to hire the spider to be your private detective? uh, Spider-Noir. It took me a little while to get through this because I have been very busy. Stuff keeps happening, and I'm trying to get ahead on stuff so I can do things this summer and leave the house for more than like a few hours. But anyways, the Amazon series starring Nick Cage as Ben Riley, aka the Spider. So it is a Spider-Man story set in the noir sort of period, that genre, that hard-boiled detective kind of genre. It is available to be seen in either color or black and white. I'll actually diverge and talk about the color briefly because it is interesting. It's not just a matter of they shot it in color and then put a black and white filter over it and or desaturated it. They shot it for black and white, and when they did a color version, they basically went in and keyed in the color manually and tried to make it look a bit more like Technicolor rather than the standard digital color that we now have. It doesn't quite look like that, but it is actually quite visually interesting. And if they were going to have a color version, I'm glad they put in as much work as they did. That having been said, the black and white just looks better. It just does. So, but yeah, the black and white looks amazing. And the color's good, but it's not as good. So we have Nicolas Cage playing this version of Spider-Man, or just the Spider. He has been out of the game for a few years now. He is something of a mess. He is a self-admitted coward. He is very low on money. He has a hard time getting clients. And he is flat out just a drunk. Not a drinker, a drunk. And we see him get into this situation where, for a while, he's been the only person who has powers in New York. But suddenly, some other people start manifesting powers. And we get our equivalents of Sandman, Tombstone, and not Electro, actually Megawatt, who is from the comics, but he's a character nobody thinks about because his existence was 100% redundant because we already had Electro. But anyways, you have them, and then you have Silvermane as our mob boss. Silvermane is played by Brendan Gleeson. I've seen some people kind of call out his performance as like not fitting tonally or being too low-key or a bit too serious, given that a lot of the other performers kind of feel like they are sort of raising themselves to meet Cage doing his Cage thing. I actually don't agree. I kind of found him interesting as like an anchoring force. And also, ultimately, Silvermane isn't really the Spider's villain. Silvermane is Cat Hardy's villain, who is our Black Cat analog, and also love interest, femme fatale, potential damsel, etc., etc. He's much more her antagonist than he is Ben's antagonist. And I think he fits that role quite well, personally. The effects on this, again, I saw it in the black and white, and they look real good. They look real good in the black and white. And this captures the tone very nicely. I was always going to be an easy mark for this. I like noir stuff. Maltese Falcon is one of my favorite movies of all time. I really enjoy noir detective stuff, and this has a lot of the elements of that feeling without seeming like it's just copy and pasting. Like it, especially Ben himself as a character, he feels like an amalgamation of many existing noir detective tropes that I am aware of, but mixed together in a more unique combination, helped by what a unique performer Nick Cage is. He's a very good fit for this. Supporting cast is also pretty solid across the board. I was especially partial to his secretary. I loved her. She was the best. But everybody's pulling their weight in this, and it is dealing with these questions of, what is a guy who, had this power, and, at the point he thought his life was being pulled together, it all fell apart, and now he's just kind of quietly flailing for however much time he has left, and taking a guy like that and putting him in a situation where he's being expected to step up again for the first time in like 6 years. It's well put together. I think for want of a criticism, it has been noted by the writer of the Spider-Man Noir comics that this takes, obviously, the core character concept and some inspiration from, noted that while this captures the aesthetic very well, it is missing one of the core components of that source material, which is that source material was very political. Like, Spider-Man Noir from the comics is flat out a socialist communist type. He's a radical. Like, he is politically radical, and the distrust of those in power, and feeling the need for something of a more fundamental change and a shift in the power back to the people is a pretty big theme in those comics, and it's not really here. It's kind of more of a token. Yes, the mayor is corrupt and the police chief is corrupt, but yeah, that's generally the case in these kinds of stories in general, and in superhero stories as well, because if the cops were effectual, you wouldn't need a superhero. So, I can't say that the political aspects are gone, but they're very surface level and very token in this. And while that is something that I didn't really feel until I came across the comments from the writer of the comic, I do not blame him for being kind of frustrated for the way that ultimately kind of panned out, and that removal of that aspect. It's not surprising, given that it's, up on Amazon, and if Amazon's going to push politics, it ain't going to be radical politics, not even in a capitalizing it and turning it into a commodity kind of way. They are too cowardly for that. So this is ultimately far shallower than it could have been. If it had taken some more cues from the comic, I think this could have had a lot more depth and really, honestly, kind of paralleled the way that this period in time, where the rich kept getting richer and the poor kept having it worse and worse and worse, could really be used to parallel a lot of the current political disenfranchisement and unrest that is going on now. And it just doesn't. But for what it is, accepting that it isn't doing that stuff, it is a good time. It is obviously put together with a lot of care and a lot of love, especially in the visuals. And Nick Cage is a little bit of a hit and miss performer for me, but he is a very good fit for this part and this tone in this project. And ultimately, I had a good time with this. I don't know if this is intended to be a seasonal show or not. I would be okay if this is all we get. But if they ever wanted to do a second season, I would not say no to that. I'd be down with that. If you are big into Spider-Man, it's fun watching for, there's their equivalent of this character, and sometimes they're flat out named the same thing, and sometimes it's tweaked a little, because Cat Hardy is kind of the Black Cat analog, but normally in the comics that's Felicia Hardy. So there's little tweaks like that, and that's fun to watch for. And again, the energy and the atmosphere and the aesthetic is, I don't want to say a spot-on recreation, because it's not, but it is appropriately evocative of what it's trying to be. I had a good time with this. Spider-Noir! What'd you think of it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. Take a relaxed attitude around here so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lipfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Claire Wright, Dave Hall, Snark Shark, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Daphne Matthews, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twilord, Kay Johnston, Tracy Scrabbit, Pau Barabajoggle, Magdalena, Sir Didymus is my favorite, and a couple of additional names I'll have to dub in because I forgot to add them. And here I am with those dubbed names. Thank you to the Demon Bunny, Vin Jost, and Sarvis. I'm a little bit distracted, you might have noticed. Everyone's reintegrated. Don't worry about Navarro. He got rehoused. He's completely happy where he is. But this is the mischief now. And it's a lot.